Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to the show, broadcasting live here from UPTV, Urbana Public Television's live studio space, Channel 6. I want to thank you all for your time and attention. Say Benny Jonas to my grandmother, mother, my godmother back in New York and Florida. Send my love out to my family and friends wherever they may be, on arm's reach, text message, or wherever you're at. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Going to talk a lot of trash over the course of the next hour, so I want to give you the legal disclaimer as always, because, we say some things sometimes, and some people have problems with that. So UBT WRFU is an open forum for the Urbana Champaign community. Views expressed to those of the speakers not intended to represent WRFU, CIC, Urbana Social Forum, Airship, is UPTV, University of Illinois, or anyone else. These thoughts and words are mine and mine alone, and not beholden unto any other party. Okay, folks. I want to make you aware of a couple things. First off, we recently produced an album out there, for those of you that are unaware, that received actually a grant from the Urbana Arts Grant. We produced an event, it's probably too small, so I'll zoom in for myself here, my own editor. The event transpired and actually took place at the Granite Art Museum, thanks to the good graces of Brother Aaron Ammons, aka Brother A-Dub. It was a spoken word album of about 59 minutes. That spoken word album was produced. We let out about 200 copies and disseminated within the community. It's available in various public libraries, whether it's a Champaign Public Library or Urbana Free Library or in local community cultural centers. And it looks something like this. Maybe I'll zoom in again. I should have brought the logos for you guys, my own camera person, but basically it's a beautiful spoken word album. It is rated R, so the unaware and uninformed will need an elder with knowledge of self to go ahead and check that out of the library. Again, it's 59 minutes of spoken word and poetry, ranging on topics that go from love to molestation to executions to gender inequalities. And so if you go out to one of those libraries, you will be able to check that out for free. What else will I say about the album? There's a myriad of different artists that are on this album, 10 different poets, including myself, but believe it or not, I have 2 tracks on there. We have a lot of different people that have contributed to the album as well. It's amazing. I would suggest you go out to Urbana Library, Free Library, or the Champaign Public Library. And if you don't go out to this, I highly recommend you go to one of those libraries anyway, in particular the Champaign Public Library, which is amazing. I go there all the time, and I'm very grateful for that resource to be within the community. I decided to come out here and do a live broadcast because I've been away for a few months. Rumors of my demise have been sorely exaggerated, and to be quite frank, I've been anxious and ready to go and rouse and get on the microphone and on the camera as well. A lot of different topics I wanted to touch upon and speak on. And I thought I'd talk about some national issues and also about some local issues and try to blend them in between. Trying to think of which issue to talk about first. Why don't we talk about, because I've talked about this before, why don't we talk about Chancellor Wise? Phyllis Wise, can we get her image up there? The screen. I'll just keep talking. So for those of you that are unaware who are residing from the community, while these scholars in the back, thank you to Jay, thank you to Yosef, and thank you to Jake in the backdrop as well, who are managing all these technical aspects. So for those of you who are unaware, recently there was a big scandal, big sort of upheaval in the advisor regarding this issue, because there was a Monday that transpired, and the weathers were going to be about -20 being projected, at least feel like. And an email was sent out the Sunday night prior to the Monday when that was going to happen. And Chancellor Wise indicated that it would be business as usual that following Monday morning, to which there was a huge upheaval, including myself, people who were disappointed from the community. I personally, I didn't send one of those emails, so don't try to do that to me. I wasn't that person. I tried to give it, the clean version. I was like, "Dear Chancellor Wise, I think it would be unprofessional and unhealthy." I gave it one of those generic spiels. And I've told this people before, and I went to sleep knowing that she had already made her decision, knowing she probably wouldn't change, but I emailed her anyway because I let her know that I thought it was inappropriate. I woke up the next morning to find out that all this vitriolic rhetoric had been hurled at her, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe at how far people had taken it. Right? There were completely racist people being toward her, which is completely wrong. But at the same time, I was thinking to myself, you know what? Screw her. I don't like her. I was thinking to myself, what the hell's wrong with this lady? First off, she's over there talking about going to work when it's going to be -20 degrees. She makes over $100,000 a year. So you got to imagine this lady is at home, sitting in her heated house, with her heated garage, with her heated car, probably auto start, probably has someone else shoveling her garage for her. She doesn't have to deal with any of the weather itself. She probably goes from garage to garage when she gets home. She has that privilege. And I'm supposed to feel bad for her because people were hurling all these ignorant things at her. First off, you got to understand what at universities has a racist mascot that we've retired. Can you get an image of the mascot, the racist mascot logo image? I mean, folks, we have students and community members who are still clamoring and longing for this racist image to be brought back here and to be revived here in this community, right? So for them to think that somehow that there would be students in this community or people in this community who could, who'd spell that and say that to her when we already have people who are clamoring and wanting for this image to return, I think it's a bit beyond them. I mean, look at this image. Look at this racist image right here. Look at this racist image right here. I mean, I've actually interviewed the person who was the current person who does it, Ivan Dozier, this young scholar who's recently graduated. Look at this image. They freaking get this this native person here. He does the split for this and halftime entertainment that we're gonna do. Okay, so I talked to Ivan. I had him on my show. This is not Ivan doing this split. This is some other idiot doing this. This kid comes onto my show, and I talk to him about the image, and I say, why do you do this? Ivan is actually native, and he's also Caucasian, and his dad is super native, takes him on all these trips, and he understands the meaning of the culture, or at least he has access to that information. And he said, well, I know it's wrong, but I feel like there's so much that I can do with it. And I just thought to myself, what a cornball. I was like, this kid has no social mobility in his life. And that's what I think in the community. They think, a lot of people in this community think that the Native people have died or been, dwindled down to zero numbers. Like, these people, we still exist. There's people all over the community, all over the country who are Native and still have ties to their roots. And to think that, we're all feeble-minded, weak-minded, malleable, as Ivan Dozier Jr. is, to be able to succumb to the pressures of the university for the sake of social or economic gain, to be doing this at halftime for boom, can I get a number? Boom, right into, is there another mascot image? Is this the only one? I thought we had another one of him. This is a young scholar. Oh, there's no, okay, I didn't send that one. I was just, so go back to Phyllis Chancellor Wise. So to think we could be here in this community, and this Asian woman who thought, I guess she was beyond reproach in terms of race, to have this, I guess, vitriol hurled at her, it should be no shock and no surprise that this goes on in the community. Now, everybody's not racist here. Well, at least I don't think. But there's enough of them around here that you just, I mean, seriously, And so, again, I was taken back by the rhetoric, but really, what did you expect? Champaign-Urbana, U of I, that's what people do here. Let's go to another image. What else do you have for me up there in terms of graphics on here? I'm going off the cuff in terms of different images that we have up here. Oh, we got Chancellor Wise. She's back for some more. Oh, we did have a picture of Ivan. Oh, there goes Ivan Dozier. This is the kid that I interviewed. This is the guy. Oh, man. He's socially no mobility, awkward, cornball, racist, all these other words I could hurl at him for engaging in acts that defamate, defile, demean human beings. Just completely wrong. And I've met his dad, super nice guy. I had him on my show, for those of you who did not see that interview. And I don't know, I tried to hold back, but this kid kept showing up at football games, inciting people to want to reenact, these acts of racism. And I know some of you have grown up with it, and that's why I say some people are here just racist. Racism is like breakfast for people around here. They wake up and they got to have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's just like a routine. And so they expect to see him at the games. They expect them to see him clamor around. I'm just like, and of course, if anything I'm saying is bothering you, you'd like to express your opinion, you can always call us in. The phone number is 217-328-8280, 217-328-8280. Doesn't matter whether you're a weak-minded individual who's in favor and racist and is in support of this image and the activities that he engages in. People don't know, this university gave academic credit and money for people to be the mascot, okay? And predominantly males, first off, which makes it even more exclusive, predominantly white males. We can argue about what this kid is. Can we get another image on here? Another topic. I'm tired of talking to this guy. Racism. Let's get him off my damn screen. Let's get another guy. Enough with the racism. Oh, we're not done with the racism. What other image have we? Actually, very recently was actually the born date passed of Trayvon Martin, who was murdered by this guy right here, George Zimmerman. And so that was the first story that was up there. So Trayvon's birthday passed. And then within a few weeks of that happening, we learned that first, George Zimmerman was attempting to get a celebrity match with him and The Game was another rapper. And I guess that changed. And then it ended up being George Zimmerman versus DMX, practically a bona fide crackhead for all intents and purposes / rapper. And I'm sitting there watching him, I was like, yo, this guy, I mean, he's a racist first off and a murderer. And this guy here gets off after stalking and chasing a young black boy, unarmed, starts a fight, and then losing the fight, has to pull out a gun to kill him. And now we're negotiating to pay him to MMA boxing fight another adult black male. I'm thinking about, how does he have the gall to get on TV to feel like he would have a chance? First off, you couldn't beat a 17-year-old teen. I mean, I guess because he's a bona fide crackhead. Only thing about crackheads is sometimes they have their good days, so maybe he was going to roll in for that one. But I'm thinking, how does he have the gall to do that? And then I think what the bigger issue for me was that so many people wanted to actually watch this happen, you know? And the person who was actually putting on the fight gave a press release or something to the effect of saying, well, you know, after the backlash, you know, I realized that I'd rather do something positive than put on this fight because I think it'd be wrong, which is complete nonsense. I think so many people were upset at the notion of having George Zimmerman on TV and have financial gain, you know, and I think we should all really take a pause. I mean, no matter what you think about George Zimmerman and what transpired, I don't want to see anybody, you know, engage in any sort of violent acts against the dude. I mean, you know, no matter what sort of carnal interest I may want to see him be pummeled to pulverized or whatever. Like, I really don't take any real satisfaction out of seeing this happen, and I hope that he would get his butt whipped. But I wouldn't want to see it on TV. I wouldn't want to have it glamorized, and I wouldn't want to have other people seeing this to potentially utilize this as a means to, I don't know how to say it, like, you know, consider this as an acceptable mechanism to seek out equity within the community. There's other ways to gain social justice or balance for everything that's happened. Let's go to another story that we have on there. Are we at volume? You want me to speak up? Okay, the next one. We have the next story. For those of you that don't know, the new year brought many changes for us, including two states, Colorado and Washington, having passed on the ballot initiatives to legalize use of cannabis. That's right, folks. They've legalized the use of cannabis, and even for visitors and passers-by who are looking to purchase it. For example, in Colorado, if you're not a resident of Colorado, you can go up within the state and purchase up to a 1/4 ounce for your own personal pleasure and personal use. A remarkable change in the ballot, and in fact, now in the California has 2 initiatives on the ballot that will come up in November, as well as Alaska. Lone Congressman Don Young is supporting the Respect Marijuana Law Act, which basically states, you know, to summarize it, because I know people don't got time to be reading all that, says to respect state laws as it pertains to cannabis use, potentially setting the stage for Alaska or California to be the next 2 states come November, amongst many others, to go ahead and vote for personal use of cannabis. For those of you that don't know, within Illinois, actually this year, medical use of marijuana, of cannabis, will be now in commonplace. Let's not go to that story. Let's go back to that one. And so I'm telling now, folks, we need to get with the program. I mean, everybody's broke, and this is a legitimate means of raising capital funds. Needless people are incarcerated. I mean, the predominant drug user in America is Caucasian male. You know, this is a fact. People may not know this. They have all these perceptions of like everything negative in the world, like, you know, predominant welfare user, blah, blah, blah. Predominant welfare user, drug user in America is Caucasian. And so I think, you know, we realize, and the people who are penalized the most with the laws are black and brown, right? And so we need to recognize this fact and realize that we're not, you know, we're really seeking to address the issues, any of them associated with them, whether it be the population suffering from whatever stigma you think, you know, like eating too many munchies or sitting at home and watching too many cartoons, then we would like to address, then legal, you know, the criminalization of it is not the way to go. And the bigger issue for me, shout out to my boy Sean out there, who we had this conversation within the last couple of weeks. We talked about this. The reason drugs and the, how should we say, the penalization of drug use is so important in America, for those of you that don't know. This is the big secret who don't know. The reason people want it to remain as such, I mean, there's always the teetotalers and people who don't want to use anything, which you know, that's totally right to abstain from everything in the world that's joyous. But I will say in terms of cannabis use, the reason people care about drugs and drug laws is that it's profitable. What I mean by that is you got to realize, if the cops go and let's say there's damaged property, there's a rape, there's a fight or something like that, you know, assault, and the cops go to remedy that, there's really no economic gain from pursuing those crimes and penalizing them, as there would be, let's say, with a parking fine or with a drug bust. Because everything that they get from a drug bust, whether it's the property, any cash, any gold, or any other property that came from that, completely goes in terms of revenue to the police. Do you understand that? In a capitalistic system, I mean, anything that you dangle a carrot in front of in terms of profit and gain is going to see, you're going to see more return on it. So the police have a vested interest in pursuing these crimes. You know, in terms of the war on drugs, all we really done is incarcerated more black and brown bodies and put more oversight. 1 out of 3 black males is under the supervision of federal, state, city, or local court supervision. And so you really got to ask yourself, you know, if you're against this, why? You know, like, is it because, you know, nobody dies from cannabis overuse. Nobody dies from, like I said, the worst that's going to happen is going to get lazy, get the munchies, and maybe miss that 9 o'clock morning meeting. And I will say this. There are other drugs which are worse off, like heroin and cocaine, et cetera. And we do need to have an honest conversation about them. But let's not fool ourselves, man. When you see somebody famous who's like under 50, I'm going to tell you this. Whenever I see this dude, what was that dude's name who was on that show who just died recently with the heroin overdose? Philip something. Seymour Hoffman. Yeah, Seymour, what is it? Seymour Hoffman. Seymour Hoffman. He recently died. I should have put a picture of him. This dude, let's take this picture down. Seymour Hoffman recently passed away. And when he passed away, you know, I don't know why whenever somebody, like the dude from Glee passed away, I don't know why there's always this hesitation to say, like, I wonder what happened. I wonder what, like, just because I guess he did some cookie cutter show with the Glee. But first thing that came in my head was like cocaine, heroin, drug overdose. Cocaine, like, I don't know why that people don't freaking jump to that, but that's like the first thing that I think. And I don't know, I mean, the fact that I think that reflects in society how much we've come to accept it as a passing activity for those that are famous. And so if you have any opinion on anything I've said thus far, you can always call in at, what was the number? 217-328-8280. 328-8280. Oh, I don't think you're ready for this one. What's the next picture we got up on there? Dum, 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 dum. We're just going with the news features, man. We're just going with the stories as they come. Ooh, 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 ooh. Y'all don't even know. So we have an image here of Gerald Charleston. He's a colleague and friend. Of course, Dr. Wozniak is imaged in a smaller picture of it right here. That's Dr. Wozniak, and who's an OBGYN. And there's another picture we can show of Gerald. I think there's a second picture, but we don't need to show that. If you have it, you can put it up there. So why am I putting this image up here? Gerald is a colleague and a friend. He joined the University of Illinois at the same time that I did for the MD PhD program. For some of you out there may be wondering what gives me ability to come out here and speak, and really it's my own volition, and nobody's really chiding me to come out here. But as an MD PhD, I joined the PhD program in biochemistry. I joined at the same year as Gerald back in 2005. Gerald was actually a couple of years younger than I am. Came straight out of college, graduated college into the MD PhD program. Very talented individual. Actually joined the same laboratory as me. Right? I ended up getting kicked out of my laboratory back in 2007. My boss at the time, Dr. Scott Silverman, basically a racist at the time. He's not a racist in general, but he just engaged in racist activity at that particular time. Decided he didn't want to have a student who was continuously advocating for black and brown people or disadvantaged people, and didn't want to have that tension around him, and decided to boot me from the lab. You know, he could have been just a man and said that. I would have been more accepting and to use the roundabout mechanism that he did. But as that was happening, Gerald saw this. Gerald was like, I don't know if I can, want to be around in the situation. I don't know if I want to be dealing with that. And what unfolded next is a story many people did not know that is, I would say, the underbelly of the College of Medicine and the MD PhD program. Gerald ended up leaving that laboratory that I was in because he was fearful of what was going to happen to him. He joined another laboratory, and because of the circumstances of what happened to me and the whole sort of backlash from the scientific community at the University of Illinois with the Department of Biochemistry, Gerald felt some of the backlash and ended up getting pressured out of his second laboratory. Ended up just being in the MD program, like boo-hoo for him, to be so young at his age, maybe 21 in medical school, you really can't cry from like that, right? Well, okay, no big deal. In his last few months of completing his MD program, he was accused of having a professionalism violation. Charges were brought against him you would not even believe what was brought up against him. He ended up being brought in front of the promotions committee, ended up being booted from the University of Illinois. Mind you, we have like one, maybe two black male doctors, actually I'm not even, one black male doctor per year that we graduate here on campus, all right? And I'm just thinking to myself, like, so of course that completely throws up the statistics of minority people. So he ended up getting booted from the MD program a few months from when that was going to happen, and getting into residency. Moreover, he ended up, the proceedings against him ended up having, in terms of the actual date in the trial, ended up happening on the day of his wedding, and they wouldn't move the the trial proceedings. Okay, so I actually interviewed him 2 years ago, but I held the footage for a particular reason. Because I told him when it happened, I was like, yo, you're gonna get screwed over. You don't know these people. It's happened to me, and it is gonna burn you. So I told him, like, we need to make this public. He ended up filming it with me, and then about the next day, within 12 hours of us filming it, I got a call from him. I was like, well, what's good, Joe? He's like, look, I just talked to my lawyer. He said it's not a good idea because we're suing the university, and we want to make sure we pursue this avenue. I was like, Gerald, I'm telling you right now, like, this is not a good idea. I told him, I was like, from the bottom of my heart, I think you should go public with this. I think you need to make as many people aware while this is going on before all these channels have been pursued, because there's certain, like, you got to realize when you go through those channels, on paper, it legitimizes their decisions. Whereas if you make a big upheaval and make it public, there's so much pressure from different angles that they have to address it in a more righteous fashion. And I told him before, I was like, and he ended up going to trial, ended up actually in January of 2014, ended up losing his case. I think it's Charleston versus the Illinois Board of Trustees is the case if you want to go look it up. And he ended up losing, and after we spoke, I was like, yo, what do you want to do with this footage? I mean, you told your whole story, and which is sad. If you hear all the details of how they screwed him over and how he went from point A to point B, you're going to be shocked by it. And so we're going to air that on Urbana Public Television, I would say within the next 2 weeks, because the footage is already done. I mean, I've been sitting on it like literally for almost 2 years and reveal that. And I'll be honest with you, Gerald is not the only story. Like I said, he was my colleague and classmate and friend. He came in at the same exact time of me as me. He's one of, like, I would say, probably like close to 7 to 10 people that I can name. One per, not more than 10 actually, one per year that I can name while I've been at the university that's been specifically screwed over in the MD or PhD program that's been black or brown. Not to mention that one Nigerian guy that sort of randomly got killed and fell off of a boat. I won't even talk about that guy because, who posthumously they gave him his PhD. People don't talk about that dude. Let's talk about another story. I don't want to talk about any more killing and abuse. Oh, actually, I'll say this. People don't know this about the Gerald situation. Oh, this doctor, there goes Gerald and Dr. Kell, who's an OBGYN as well, one of the other people that screwed him over. I'll say this about the MD PhD program. I've learned, after having conversations with other people, that when you step into certain arenas professionally, whether like in medicine, PhD program, you'll often find that you have many more degrees as a black or brown person in that sphere. And the reason for that is obviously there's an equity within society, whatever, but also because when you pursue those things and you obtain those degrees, you're more likely to have utilized more years of your life. I mean, fine, you have the same job as somebody else with way more degrees. You've used more of your years of your life sucked out to be sitting in the classroom, right? On top of that, you've accumulated more debt because of that, right? So it's a very clever mechanism within higher institutions to abuse black and brown bodies. What other photos you got up for me to talk about here? Oh, this Richard Sherman. Oh gosh, oh gosh. So I'm watching the 49ers game. I was actually rooting for the 49ers. I saw them driving down the last 2-minute drill. I thought they were going to score and walk away from the field and win the game. Next thing you know, probably with like 50, 40 seconds left, kind of like a fade into the corner. They threw it against the best defender, Richard Sherman. He ends up intercepting the ball, cornerback intercepting the ball over the wide receiver, ends up catching it, and then after he catches it, basically wins the game. I mean, it was literally the game-saving, game-winning play. Mind you, his quarterback in the first play actually fumbled there, or it was a snap, something happened there, so it wasn't as if the offense was really all that. So really his defensive play galvanized and was the spearhead for the team in terms of moving to the Super Bowl. After that happened, this interview played out, which I don't have the footage, I wish I could play it, where he gave basically a WWF style Macho Man Randy Savage hyped up and talking about he was the best. He's the wide receiver should never talk to him and did that. And I think a lot of people in America were taken aback by that. They weren't expecting that. I know I wasn't expecting that. I was like, whoa, this dude is just hype off of winning. I mean, he's going to the Super Bowl, so I would be pretty hyped as well. But they weren't ready for him to be all like, kind of like live and popping up, turned up like that. And so people may not have seen, because again, this got re-aired and the news 24-hour news cycle got blown over so many times with people not having it contextualized properly, right? First, the game-saving play. And if you looked at the actual sequence, the 2-minute sequence that led up to the interview, after he catches the ball, he stands up, goes over to the wide receiver, and goes to shake his hand. He literally extends his hand, say, good game. As he does that, the wide receiver snuffs him in the face, right? And then he goes on to give the interview afterward, basically dejected and upset, frustrated and elated that he's going on to the Super Bowl. As he's giving that speech, and as the 24-hour news cycle goes on about, you have a lot of people having seen this going on various news channels, calling him a thug and using rhetoric, I guess, to supplant the N-word or to colorize him or to convey in a way that they deject or devalue him as a human being for having that, conducting himself in that fashion. Mind you, he's a Stanford graduate. Just like I said, just won. I mean, don't even discount that. But he just won and it took his team to the Super Bowl with one play himself, just himself. So for me personally, I think the biggest issue in this all, or what it revealed to me about black and brown bodies on TV and media, is that we're not allowed to have a range of emotions. We're not allowed to convey ourselves in a way that that fits outside of a box. Unless it's like, yes, boss, I sure do like it. Can I get on Tyler Perry's show? Like, Meet the Browns kind of thing, or am I going to be dancing around, cluttering around for BET music rap videos? Or I just can't be happy and excited that I'm the best. I can't be upset when somebody frustrates me. I can't cry in a way that conveys inner pain. There's I don't know, and it goes even to the mascot issue that we talked about earlier. The range of emotions that we perceive black and brown bodies to be able to have is just like, it's very contrived. The noble savage for the native person, the wild or the spicy Latino, the very, flaring and whatever. And it's like, I'm sorry, I have, there are moments when I'm sad, there's moments when I'm happy. If you happen to catch me at that time, I'm sorry that it may reinforce whatever general perceived notion you have of me, but it's just not true. All of us don't feel that way. We don't fit those stereotypes, and believe it or not, everyone is a human being, is able to display the same range of emotions. What are the topics that we have out there? So yeah, America's racist for reacting like that. That's what I have to say about that. Let's get this picture off here. Oh, the Sochi Games, Is that how you pronounce Sochi? Sochi Games. All right. So I first off, I'm boycotting this because Sochi Games, I mean, I'm gonna call it Sochi Games. I don't know, because I don't have any respect for them over there. I'm just disappointed that the U.S. is participating, period, and I'm boycotting them and not watching at all. I think their stance on gays in general, LGBTQ community, I think was inappropriate, horrible, and it's their dictatorial third world nation. Are they first world? They might be first world, but I think that they're really. Can we Google that? Somebody Google and text me that. I don't believe that, because if you look at these places, it is, I mean, maybe like a portion of Russia, but not all of Russia. Probably like I would say, I don't know, 2/3 of it looks like it's pretty much depleted. But that's personal opinion. I don't even want to get into that. So I get this link. I'm on Facebook, right? It gets shared, and I'm like, you gotta watch this. You're not gonna believe it. I'm like, you succumb to it, because then they have this new thing on Facebook. I don't know if people have seen it, where the videos actually start playing without you pressing anything, which is kind of weird. Like I guess it's a clever ploy to get you to unmute. I'm like, you see people doing all kinds of foolish things. So I'm watching, I see this link up there, and it says the Russian police choir, Get Lucky. I'm like, what? I click on the link. Have you guys seen this? Have you guys seen the link? You haven't seen it? Good. I would say watch it, but it's weird. So I watched this thing, and there's this whole police choir, these Russian guys. I guess it's part of the opening act ceremonies, whatever. I don't even know what it had to do with Sochi, but it's somewhere in Russia. These guys are singing the Neptune Pharrell Daft Punk song, Get Lucky. They're doing their rendition of it, like a cappella style, or maybe with a little bit of a beat in the back. And these guys, all the guys in the back are just like moving like this, maybe a little bit, and there's just like two guys who are just getting like super high. And I was just like, this is weird. These guys, like, because you got to imagine the guys that were singing and getting all live are probably like the guys that go to the bars with to get all the girls and stuff like that. The other guys are just the cornballs in the backdrop to hold that. But I'm like, how did you pick this song to be for the ceremonies and to represent Russia? I mean, I understand different choirs and a cappella groups will choose popular songs because it's a clever way to do renditions. But the Olympic Games and Get Lucky, like, they had nothing whatsoever to do that. And then the rhythmless choir in the backdrop just standing there stoic with those two guys. And then one random third guy jumps down there and starts to get down with them and stuff as well. I was like, wow, Russia, you are doing it super small. And then as you zoomed out from the camera shots, there's like no one in the audience. This is the worst Olympic Games ever. As I thought to myself, because they spent probably $52 billion on it after initially projecting only to be 12 billion. 40 billion of this obviously is going to corruption. And I'm thinking to the world, like, really? Really? I mean, after this kind of corruption, I mean, we should just be able to go over to your house and steal stuff. I mean, we should just invite us over to Brazil, Spain, France. Just let it just take some of your, your ashtrays, your family stuff. I mean, $40 billion we're just feeding to a corrupt dictator to abuse his people. And I think some of the bigger atrocities that you can look up, I was watching a special last night with my friend, my boy Manuel. Shout out to my boy Emmanuel Camacho up there in Chicago. We're watching on Vice News about the Sochi games, as we watched all the damage and turmoil that ensued from the actual construction. So people may not realize it, but people have been displaced. Their whole livelihoods have been destroyed. For example, one community outside of there, because of all the construction, had houses torn down, so families got moved and were allegedly going to get placed into new places. But some of those places were so run down that people were sort of living there ad hoc and have like 7 people. Like this studio space, which is pretty small, will have like 7 people living in there. But because they weren't officially living in there, like with a lease, they've just been displaced. And there's no guarantee that those people will have apartments moving forward because of that circumstance. When you can check out that special. Along with that, we have people in the community, because of all the construction, and they just dump it randomly to decide that there's going to be a dump site, that now it's contaminating some of the water. So if you go, you're drinking water from, you can have this yellow sludge. So they're destroying their whole their own communities. They're engaging in active corruption, and he's a dictator. I mean, he's a gay basher, and I think their media ploys have been very specific in how they've been anti-gay and anti-LGBTQ in general. If you look at some of the rhetoric, saying things like, "We don't have any problem with gays. Just leave the children alone, please." Like, what the hell is that? Like, people come over to your country, hey, just leave the children alone. You can come over here and visit. Just leave like, who does that? I mean, that's insinuating and engaging a media ploy. It's not cool, man. It's not cool at all. So screw you, Russia. Screw you, the Sochi games. I shouldn't even say screw you, Russia. Screw Vladimir Putin. I mean, he's a dictator. And for someone who's so anti-gay to be taking so many photos without your shirt off, I mean, really. I mean, riding horses with no shirt on, bareback mountain. What are the stories we have up there that we can talk about? Show me some pictures here. Thank you all again. If you want to hit me back, you can always call in at 217. There goes the bareback. You got the bareback, broke back dictator. You can always call us in at 217-328. You can leave that one up. 328-8280. 217-328-8280. This lady. First off, she looks like an extra off of Planet of the Apes. And I don't mean that to be condescending, but I was like, should I put the picture of hers up to next to the other one? But she really looked like she was from Planet of the Apes. Here's my problem, folks. I'm trying to help the white people in this community with their racistness. Racist? Is that a word? Racist? We'll make it a word. Racistness. And I see these pictures, and I've been around town, and I see these people who tan. I think to myself, this is the epitome of racism in white America. Why do I say this? First off, let's start off with this notion. Why is she tanning? What is she hoping to look like that that makes her feel that this is an economic expenditure she wants to engage in, right, socially, that she thinks will make her look more attractive? She wants to look more brown. And then I think to myself, she wants to look more brown, okay. And then I think to myself, okay, if you want to look more brown, you would think that in some way that would reproduce itself in treating black and brown people better. But in a community that legislates and over-criminalizes black and brown bodies, I find this to be the height, well, maybe not the height, the killing of Kiwan Karate would be the height of racism in this community. Thank you to Officer Finney and also to Officer Nurbitz for helping to kill that young black child there. But I think this lady goes right under the tier right below that, below murder, because I think she embodies the racism. Because what is she trying to look like? She's trying to look like the Latina, African-American woman. It's just like, I don't get what your obsession with the color is. Like, you're trying to steal something that's been naturally embedded into the DNA of black and brown, beautiful women. I just think it's inappropriate, racist. You have the other one of the tanning of classic tan. And I didn't really mean to single out classic tan specifically, because there's a lot of racist companies here around here. Racist Tan, there's Racist Tan, there's Super Racist Tan, there's a classic Racist Tan we have here. Fast Racist Tan, all these racists, Rush Racist Tan here. And I know the women out there, because there's a lot of beautiful women out there who do engage in tanning. I'm like, You know, I'd still, you know, do you, but I'm just saying, like, just stop tanning because it's super racist. That's all I really wanted to say with that. There's no real theatrical story behind that. Just stop being racist and stop tanning. Plus, I feel like I'm trying to save white America because you're intentionally putting yourself under UV light to burn yourself. I mean, nothing in me scientifically I have a PhD in biochemistry, for those of you who may not know. Nothing intellectually resonates with me to think that it is not cancerous to engage in tanning yourself. You're actively going under UV lights, okay? And if you don't believe me, go get a UV light and put your hand under it for 10 minutes. And you'll see you're gonna start irritating your skin and end up burning it, and you're gonna leave yourself more prone to developing cancer. I'm trying to save all the white people out here. I'm trying to save you. I'm trying to save you. What are the stories we have up there? Any other image we have up there? That was the last one? Okay, how much time? We're going to talk about some other stuff. Folks, you can go out there and email me. You can always contact us by emailing wrfu@theshow1045.com, wrfu@theshow1045.com. You can also call in if anything I said has upset you or you have a contrary. We're live here, folks. You're watching on UPTV flipping or Bandit, and you want to flip me off. The best way to do that is to go ahead and call in at 217-328-8280. A couple other topics I wanted to talk about because some people are now opining and sharing their thoughts here in public sphere. Sports. I had this random notion to myself recently as I was thinking, because if you watch professional sports, basketball, football, you may have noticed that there's a lot more injuries. Did you notice that? Have you noticed a lot more injuries? And people may think that, well, people are just going hard, the adrenaline rush, you know, American culture, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe that's true. Maybe there's got to be some truth to that. And then I started to think to myself, what's going on in America that could make this more likely, more viable to be transpiring? And I thought, well, we did recently, almost concurrently, exactly, have the scandal with Alex Rodriguez happening regarding steroids, right? This gentleman has been banned for a whole season, permanent asterisks around everything around his career. Mind you, after he's got like, I don't know how many hundreds of $millions he's gained and garnered for the career. But for his engaging in steroid use and lying about it, I believe in front of a federal grand jury, or being caught on the lie publicly, he's been banned for the season. So that's basically, 20-something million, maybe 24 million he's lost for doing that. If you're a professional athlete, first off, if you're trying to pursue a career in be a professional athlete, I'm sorry, you're as far as I'm concerned, you're wasting your time. Go get your education. if you want to be poor for the rest of your life, I guess you can go be a professional athlete. Go check the statistic. Average professional football career is probably like 3.5 years. Average basketball career, NBA, it's going to be 5.5 years. So, even if you're earning a couple $100,000 a year, that's nothing. You might as well work, 20 years earning $50,000. But besides that, my thought to myself was regarding injuries. Maybe people just aren't using as many steroids because they're worried about getting caught. And as a result of that, the injuries and inability to heal as quickly is potentially leaving athletes more susceptible to injury. So that's something that I conjured up there. I don't know if that's true. I don't have any evidence. But I find it oddly strange amidst this whole steroid and roid rage controversy that so many more athletes are getting injured out there. So I thought I'd put that little pebble out into the pond, let us see what kind of ripple it has back. Another thing I wanted to say is the cold, man. I myself am tired of the cold. What is wrong with you, Illinois? What is wrong with the weather here? Oh my God. The worst part about it is the weather with the snow in terms of the roads. Okay. You guys claim to be so good. I went to the #1 engineering institution in the world, which is MIT, for those of you that don't know. Got my bachelor's in electrical engineering. I find it so ironic in one of the top 5 institutions of engineering in the country, in the world, if you want to consider that, that you engage in this practice of putting down so much snow, destroying the roads, and then go ahead and paving them again, only to go ahead and, have snow, destroy them with the salt, and then pave them again. You would think they would come up with another ploy or mechanism or plan to overcome this meteorological hurdle here to have, saving on money. Because you think about it, this is a guaranteed expenditure for the next blah, 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 blah. It's not going to stop snowing. It's not going to stop having to salt the roads. And we ran into the problem at the university where the campus ran out of salt like a week ago. And I got an email from my department of College of Medicine. Was like, well, guys, just so you know, campus ran out of salt. This was like a week ago, last Monday. Ran out of snow, so be careful out there. Like, our building still has some snow left over, so we're going to do our walkways, but just be careful out there. Don't kill yourself or break anything, so we're not legally held liable. And I thought to myself, you guys deal with this every year. Like, I visited Canada one time. I went to Toronto, and went to stay in the hotel. And as I'm walking out the hotel, there was just like, it was littered in ice snow, like that patch where there's like a layer of just ice, and you just basically just kill yourself if you take the wrong step, and a little bit of snow over it. So you get just a little bit of, maybe if you get overconfident, overzealous, you'd like totally just fracture your hip. And so I talked to the doorman at the hotel. I was like, yo, why don't you guys like salt this? He's like, well, it's going to happen again. I'm like, it just like blew my mind. Like, folks, we need to come up with a better mechanism. We can't keep salting the snow, salting the roads. Well, I'm not going to be here anyway, but I'm just saying, for your personal purview and your personal intellectual benefit, some young scholar out there from the community, from the university, needs to come up with another mechanism that's, you know, bioavailable and environmentally friendly, preferably, definitely, and that we needed to utilize to go ahead and address this issue, because it's long overdue. I'm sorry, putting salt out, although it's cheap, is not the right solution, as you can see by all the, you know, the excavated roads right now, because that's what happens, right? Is that what it is? The roads get destroyed by the salt? That's what the plows and the snow, yeah, together just destroy the roads. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you know this is going to happen. So that's just something I thought to myself. Anything else I'd like to talk about? Again, folks, you want to go ahead and email me, you can go ahead and email me at wrfu@theshow1045.com, wrfu@theshow1045.com. I'm never too good for criticism, as I always say, and you can always opine, share your opinion, tell me how much of an idiot you think I am, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. I'm always trying to get better, and the only way I can do that is with constructive criticism. Along with that, if anything I've said over the next few minutes you'd like to give us some feedback live, you can always call in at 217-328-8280. I know somebody out there must be watching live and wondering, what the hell is this guy doing? Last closing thoughts. I'm going to come on the air tomorrow, Wednesday, live at 2 p.m., 2 to 3 p.m. My last time, I think, probably on TV. I don't think I'm going to be doing too many. Everything else will be pre-recorded from this far out. I've got a few more months left to finish medical school. And I thought to myself, you know, I could do one of two things. I could play it safe. I could just do what I keep doing. I chose the latter. I definitely chose the latter. And so tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to count down. I don't know if I'll do my 10 or my 5 top most racist moments here at the University of Illinois. You guys are not going to believe what's happened to me. Some of the stories I've shared sporadically, but I'm going to pull them all together and share them with you to believe. At the University of Illinois and within the community, you won't believe some of the things people have said to me at different rank and file throughout the community. And so I'll do that. And like I said, I could have, if I wanted to, just not shared any of these thoughts. But that's not what I do. I feel at this point I'm just rounding the table in terms of, you know when you hit a home run and you just like, I already hit the home run. I'm just rounding out first, man, going to second, third, and like seriously, I'm just going around all the plates, giving my teammates high fives along the way. Shout outs to everyone I say. Also say, coming up on every Saturday, for those who want to participate, CU Citizens for Peace and Justice holds their meetings at the IMC located at 202 South Broadway at 4 p.m. every Saturday. CU Citizens for Peace and Justice located at 202 South Broadway at every Saturday at 4 p.m. They hold their meetings there to discuss different issues going on with the community, advocating for scholars who are underserved or who are just under-resourced, I guess you could say. They're facing different issues within the community. Other things I'd like to make you aware of for those of you who are interested in the radio and for media in general. If you want to be in my position, you have an opinion you'd like to share, come on down to Urbana Public Television. They're always welcoming new members to utilize this resource within the community. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're an atheist or religious, teetotaler or an alcoholic. Like they're willing to bring anyone out here who has an opinion out there, as long as you're FCC compliant and living within the Urbana community, to go out here and have this opportunity to share your thoughts, wisdom, and art with other folks within the Champaign-Urbana community. I know I've certainly appreciated the opportunity myself. Last thing I'll say is within the radio. For those of you that don't know, we have amazing radio stations within the community, whether it be Will, Weft, but WRFU really is the jewel of Champaign-Urbana, and I don't mean the family jewels. I'm talking about the jewel of Urbana-Champaign, and the reason I say that is, you know, people don't realize we're the easiest to access. You go to RFU, all it takes is 2 people, 2 hours to get on the radio. 2 people, 2 hours total each, I should say, of training, and you can get on the radio, have a slot of your own, as long as you pay your dues, which I believe is minimal amount each. I think it's like $50 each. And you have an opportunity to get on local community radio and share your thoughts and your words. Doesn't matter what you want to talk about, as long as you're FCC compliant, you know, and if you're not inciting people to engage in any sort of crazy acts. That's all we ask for, folks. Plenty of opportunities to engage in the community. People always say, oh, well, I need to get my stuff together. I need to do this. I'm like, if you keep thinking that, it's never going to happen. If you keep waiting for your, I mean, let's be real. I mean, you know you better than you. So what else I'll say here? I don't know, man. I'm just having a good time. How long did I go for? 45 minutes. Should I do a piece of poetry for folks out there? I'll do a piece that I haven't memorized. I'll do an original piece that I've not shared with anyone. And I was a little bit apprehensive about sharing it because I was, you know, when you do a new piece of poetry, folks that don't know out there, it's like you really are letting people know a piece of your heart and your soul. And I've done a lot of different spoken word pieces. I've performed it tons of places at this point in my life. But, you know, there's always this issue when you have a new piece of how people are going to react to it and that sort of feedback and dynamic that goes along with it. All right. So this piece that I'm going to share with you, how should I preface this by saying, I write a lot of pieces usually after emotion, like, you know, breakups or just strong emotions that I have in general. And I told this to another scholar recently when we did the article in the Buzz for our event. So you find that there's an article in the Buzz on us. But I learned that Abraham Lincoln, or I don't know if this is true or not, Abraham Lincoln used to write, every time he would get upset or have an argument with somebody, he would write a letter and type it out, and not like handwritten. He would type out, I think it was actually handwritten letters, that he would write at his desk. And after he would get all this anger and frustration communicated onto that piece of paper, he would go, fold it up, seal it in an envelope, and then put it in his desk to never mail out. You know, and in many ways, that's a similar thing that I've done. And I would encourage people to utilize the media and the arts as a mechanism to get that frustration and angst out, man. Don't let it bottle up and hold it in, because there's nothing good can come of that, man. Nothing good whatsoever can come of that. All right, I'll read this piece. Are we good in the sound back there? We got here. We're perfect. Oh, I got a thumbs up. That's better than the middle finger, I guess. The title of this piece is called "I'm That Type of Guy." Okay. If our love was measured by the amount of toothpaste in a tube, then I'd work my hardest to squeeze out every fluid ounce. I'm OCD, so I wouldn't squeeze from the middle. I'd squeeze from the edge forward. And when that stopped working, I'd get the back of my toothbrush and stroke it until I flattened every lump and every curve. And when nothing else would pour out, I would bend your love from the edge, pushing forward the last few gobs. And when that stream ceased, I would grab a pair of scissors to reveal your inner truth and scrape the inner walls with my brush, because 1 ounce of your love means that much to me. Why? Because I'm that type of guy. If our love was measured in dish soap, then would it have to be that ultra Dawn dish soap, not that dollar store bubble water that they have out there, you know, that highly concentrate. And if it was about to run out, I'd fill it up with more water to mobilize the last few fluid ounces. And when our love was almost dried up, I had turned it upside down and gaze as the last few remnants of what we have trickled to the mouth, to be uncapped and converted to a spout, just so the last few trickles would come out. Why? Because I'm that type of guy. If our love was measured in kilowatts, see, I don't know how you feel, but if I were to forget to pay the power bill, and if our lights were going to be shut off, and there was that favorite TV show that you love to watch, you know, like Walking Dead or Scandal or whatever the hell it is people watch nowadays, I'd grab my extension cord and go and run it out to the hallway of the apartment building and run a line from the nearest socket on the closest wall. And if there was no socket in the hallway, then I'd work out a deal with the next door neighbor and promise random favors, you know, like if they let us run a line, for example, like no more loud sex late at night for hours at a time, even though I'd be lying because you're that fine. But I'd do that. Why? So yeah, folks, I'd like to thank you all for your time and attention. Again, this is a show broadcasting live from Urbana Public Television. Give you a splattering of thoughts, ideas, and creative musings for you out there to consume. Thank you for your time and attention. Benny Shonos to my grandmother, back in New York and Florida. Some love to my family and friends, wherever they may be. Peace out and deuces to everybody. Thank you to Joseph, to Jason, and thank you to Jake in the backdrop as well.